Hello everybody, welcome to Melody's Movie Monday review. This is being posted on a Tuesday, so I do apologize. I like to do my movie reviews the same day that I post them, and I have been really sick this weekend up until really this morning. I mean, you could maybe still hear the congestion. It was just like a 48-hour type cold, but it was one that really kicked my butt. So I appreciate you waiting. Today we are going to talk about a movie that I feel like has very mixed reviews. It is Sinister. It is starring Ethan Hawke, which, by the way, I'm just gonna put a disclaimer out. I really enjoy Ethan Hawke. He does phenomenal work in my opinion, and he really killed it in The Black Phone, which I haven't talked about yet, but I do plan on talking about it at some point in time. This was a very interesting concept to me. I don't feel like it had necessarily been done before. It took like found footage style movies and put it into a different aspect. So, quick rundown. We have Ethan Hawke's character, who is a famous author, or at least was at one point in time, and his 15 minutes of fame are basically up. He's trying to find a way to kind of reinvent himself. He had one really big hit book, and after that it was just kind of all downfall. So he's trying to find some new inspiration, to find like that next new hit for him to get his fame back, if you will, to kind of just get back out there. So I guess in order to kind of spark a bit more imagination in him, creativity, he and his family end up buying this house where a murder had taken place previously. Now his family does not know that. It's only him who's aware of the situation. I'm not exactly sure what his mindset going into it was, like, oh, living here is suddenly going to make me feel so many different emotions, and maybe I'm going to be this big star all over again. I don't really know what the logistics of that were, but not everybody in his family knows, just him. And he ends up finding this box of what is basically found footage style home videos. They're all labeled different type of family events. Like there's one I believe is like a backyard barbecue, a pool party, I want to say, something, you know, just kind of stuff along those lines. He finds these videos on Super 8 films, and just so happens to have a Super 8 film player. So he watches these home videos, which he sees that are labeled very normal things, thinks nothing of it, puts them on, and then it ends up being a home video style murders. Like it's just these recorded murders that are happening. What's interesting though is it's an entire family being murdered. It's like the mom, the dad, the kids, but there's always one child missing in the video, which comes into play later. It's always like, I think, the youngest of the family that's not included, and we don't know where they went. They end up going missing. Their bodies are never found. So it's just every single video that he has, it's the same exact style. Family being murdered, youngest child goes missing. So he tries to use this at first as like creativity almost. He becomes like infatuated with it. He doesn't tell anybody, he doesn't report it. He just kind of digs deeper and deeper on his own. Eventually it starts to kind of consume him, and he's realizing that there's these weird things that are starting to take place in his own home. Like there's like his kids are kind of acting out a little bit, but in weird ways. Just all this weird stuff kind of starts happening. He does finally reach out to get some kind of help, and it doesn't really go well. They end up moving, and it turns out that basically in the past, every time a family would experience these issues and then they would move, that is when the murders would happen. So basically he had kind of put into play what was going to end up happening to his family. At the end, we figure out that Bigule is his name, I believe. He's the demon basically that's taking over the youngest child. He kind of, I would like to say, possesses them to essentially film and murder their entire family. So by Ethan Hawke taking his family and moving to a new house, he's essentially just put into motion the exact same thing that's going to happen. The things that have happened to them are going to happen to his family at this point. And his youngest daughter, at the end, ends up being possessed and murdering the whole family. So it's just like this entire cycle. I personally really enjoyed this movie. I think the acting was good. I think the premise was good. I personally don't feel like I've seen anything that's quite like it before. They did end up making a sequel to it, but I was not a fan of that one. I feel like they were just kind of trying to find something that wasn't there. It's always like go big when they do sequels, and so they tried to do the home footage style all over again, but they were making like the murders a bit more gruesome. It's kind of like with the Saw movies. It's like you always got to amp up the blood, the gore, you know, and I don't feel like in this case that was necessary. I don't think that there should have been a sequel in general. It's pretty straightforward, but money talks, so. But yes, I really enjoyed this movie. I really recommend this movie. I've heard a lot of very mixed reviews on it, which is fine. I mean, we all have different opinions on how we interpret horror movies, but I think this one, for me personally, is probably in my top 10 favorite horror movies, which I know that's saying a lot, but I'm sticking by that. If I had to give this movie a full number rating, I'm gonna go 7 out of 10. There's only a couple things that I would change, maybe with the editing styles. They do kind of some weird things with Boogie or Mr. Boogie is what he's referred to at one point, which that was really stupid, and that's probably another thing I might change. If you want this demon-like person to be taken seriously, maybe don't call him Mr. Boogie. But it is really something my friends and I will laugh about. We've actually quoted it several times, and it's just really funny, like, just to say Mr. Boogie. Like, how am I supposed to be scared by that? I don't know. But I really love the movie. There's very few things I would change. I highly recommend it. I just think Ethan Hawke does an amazing job with embodying this character. I really couldn't imagine it being played by anybody else. So I love it. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend it. And I'd love to hear your feedback on it, how you felt about it. Because again, I know there's a lot of mixed reviews, so I always like to get different points of views from other people who may see things differently than I do. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things about doing these reviews, is just being able to hear different feedback from you guys. And maybe there was a movie that I didn't necessarily care for. Somebody gave me their opinion in a different light, and it suddenly changes my opinion. So like, you never know. I really love to have those open conversations. So yes. All right, guys. Well, that's all I have today for Sinister. I will be back at you next Monday, nice and healthy. Hopefully no longer having this cold. So, all right. Bye, everyone.